I arrived at the studio, Mr. Misham was at his desk. He seemed to be writing a letter, but he quickly sealed the envelope. I thought nothing of it at the time, of course. Now that I think about it, what if he was writing a suicide note?
A suicide note?
Yes, he had this look on his face. Man's face inscrutable as a quadratic equation. End quote. Suicide? Poor Mr. Misham. But that means Vera's innocent. Would someone commit suicide in the middle of an interview? Oh.
Very well. You may begin your cross-examination.
Maybe he felt so much regret for doing the interview with this guy that he was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and just lick a thing? Not lick a thing. What is it? Sip a thing and oh, I'm dead. When I arrived at the studio, Mr. Misham was at his desk. He seemed to be writing a letter, but he quickly sealed the envelope. So he put the letter away when he saw you? Early reporter gets worm. End quote. That's my secret. I'm not sure I follow. It's the night of the interview. I arrived 15 minutes ahead of schedule. The handle turns, the door opens, and I barge in. Are you sure that's okay to do? I mean, isn't that unlawful entry, really? Mr. Misham sure seemed to think so. You should have seen him. He crammed his letter into that yellow envelope as fast as he could. I know a secret when I spot one, and that was one.
It does seem significant. Well, Mr. Justice?
I wonder. It does have the ring of something important. Sure? I don't know what to... I don't know what I would be... Oh shit, whatever.
Very well, please honor the testimony then.
Why not? My account comes free of charge. It was a yellow envelope. I heard it was left at the crime scene. So, I think it's the fact that we only saw this? Okay. As it just so happens, there was a single letter in the desk drawer at the scene. In a red envelope. What? Prosecutor Gavin. Yes. Was a yellow envelope found at the scene of the crime? Unfortunately, no. But, forehead. It's easy to mistake the color of an envelope. Is it though? A red and yellow? I guess. But not this envelope. You see, it was postmarked already, 7 years ago.
Well, Mr. Russell?
I can explain that. Drew, right? He wanted to get that letter in an envelope pronto. Get it out of sight of my beady eyes, right? So he grabbed the nearest envelope and crammed away. And what about the whole red and yellow envelope contradiction, chump?
Well, Mr. Justice, have you heard anything to say to the witness's claim?
That night, the victim put a letter he had been writing in a red envelope. It's easy for me to say it's impossible, but... Oh, it's because it's not addressed to... It's addressed to him, so it can't be. That's impossible. Ugh, I like your expression. So full of confidence. Oh, thanks. It's simple, really. As it just so happens, the defense team investigated the contents of this envelope with, the assistance of a forensic scientist. What? Note that this letter is addressed to Drew Misham. Hold up, you're telling me that Apollo and them knew to fucking look into the letter, with the gadget thing that Emma had, but fucking Clavier didn't? Clavier doesn't know what's in the letter? Oh! Why would he address the letter to himself? Let alone send a suicide note to himself! Why if it's scoped?
Order! Mr. Brushel, can you explain this to the court?
Oh my, how could I have forgotten? I suppose this happens to the best of us. Reporter gets old, forgets lots. End quote.
I'm still waiting for an explanation, Mr. Brushel.
Well, that's the thing, see? After he put his letter in that envelope, oh god, I'm gonna choke up a spit. After he put his letter in that envelope, Mr. Misham sat there searching his desk drawer for something. His desk drawer? Yes, a stamp, a so-called postage stamp, end quote.
A stamp? Whatever for?
Well, to mail his letter, what else? And then, why yes, I think I saw him put it in the letterbox. Yes, it was a yellow envelope, and he put it in that box. Weird that you would forget that, considering that in order to get into the studio, you have to open that door, which is right next to the letterbox. So that means Drew would have been at his desk, putting away the letter in the yellow envelope, and then running towards you to put it in the letterbox, because you're right next to the letterbox, but alright, whatever. Well, apparently this yellow letter has nothing to do with the case. Oh, how I wish it did! Just think if there was a suicide note. What a story. Star writes suicide note in front of reporter. Falls. End quote. Ahem. As I was saying, this has nothing to do with this case. That said. Yes, Your Honor? It makes me wonder about the contents of that red envelope. Are we gonna take it out? Oh, I thought we were taking it out. Oh, I guess maybe I should have reread it. But whatever. It's just basically saying like, oh, hey, Drew, I've deposited $100,000 into your bank, into your account. Make sure to let me know that it transferred over. I should remind you that, you shouldn't tell anyone about this, whatever. $100,000 is quite a good deal of money. So this was from 7 years ago, ja. So, am I finished? Here. Am I finished here? I was thinking of, going home to start writing. I hate to say what should be pretty obvious to anyone. But when you catch the scent of a story, you make that, rather unique face. Ah, come on! Attorney has active imagination. Little else. End quote. Even I noticed something, and my eyes aren't what they used to be. I'm starting to understand what all this perceiving stuff is about. Judge has active imagination. End quote. Please, continue with your testimony. Tell us about the scent of a story. Hey, I'm the one asking the questions here. Usually, when you wake up in the morning, it's 1:45, and you want to have a little fun. You brush your teeth. You brush your teeth. Sorry, that was a reference to back in the heydays of Ace Attorney, there used to be a series of videos that people made where it was called like Phoenix Wrong or something, where they just like played like famous movie clips or like music, and then had the sprites lip sync it. Basically, it's like weird. If I can find this one that I was singing specifically, I'll put it into the video. But that's if I find it. Anyway, that's whatever I think of. That's the song I think of whenever I see him. Set of a story. Actually, it took a bit of work to get a thumbs up on the interview. Reporter leveraged story, gets his interview, end quote. The story concerned a certain case from 7 years ago. That red envelope probably has something to do with it. Say what you will, but Drew's talent was without compare. Oh, do tell. So you threatened to go to the press with this story? That's how you got your interview? Blackmail? Well, yes. I mean, no. It wasn't exactly that. I'm not Eric. Something wrong, Mr. Brushel? Okay, look. This is my story, my tidbit. Journalism info is livelihood. End quote. I see. Oh, while you have me chatting away here, what's going on out there? What if some Wally Wordsworth or Sally Scooper gets wind of my story? They could go into press while I'm going to waste. The court feels your pain, Mr. Brushel. Mr. Justice, let's pick up the pace. A certain case 7 years ago. Wait, 7 years ago? Yeah, the main number of the day is 7, kids. Oh my god, I have to perceive? Oh shit. Alright, let's figure it out. I think it might be this one? I know where I have to look. Do I know? I think I know. It's fucking nasty when you zoom up on them. Is it maybe? Is it? Maybe? No? No. Wait, let me just check one more time. I think it must not be this sentence, maybe, but... Huh, I'm supposed to have to perceive something. It's so gross when you zoom up on his face. Look at his teeth. Fucking nasty. Alright, stop. It's okay. I'm gonna look up for a different sentence, maybe. Or maybe I'll press? Let me press. A certain case 7 years ago? Tell us, what case? Let me say one thing, Mr. Attorney, and you can quote me on this. Hey, I can't talk about the case. Well, why not? It's about journalistic pride and staunchness and credibility and connections. Journalistic reveals sources only over his dead body. End quote. So what'll it be? Gonna strangle me? Dead men don't tell no tales, Mr. Attorney. He sounds pretty determined not to talk. Our chances of breaking his will aren't looking good. On the one hand, we have your story, and on the other, this letter. What makes you think that the two are related? I was just saying it's possible. Call it a reporter's intuition. End quote. Hey, I say a lot of things. You're gonna pick up on all of them. You're gonna pick all of them apart? Be my guest. All of them? No, just the incredibly suspicious ones. I see. Anything else to add about Mr. Misham? Say what you will, but Drew's talent was without compare. Maybe? Is it possible? Is it this one? Like, clearly I know where to look. Obviously, I'm fucking staring at his pits. I know that... Oh, there! Okay, I got it. Oh, nasty. You're nasty, bro! You're nasty! Put on some deodorant, my dude. Sweat much, Mr. Brushel? Well, yeah. A man can't help his glands, you know. That's fair. It's more than that. When Mr. Misham's talent was mentioned, you suddenly began to sweat buckets. You're hiding something about his talent. What? That's ridiculous. Evidence time. Let's show Mr. Misham's true talent lay. It just so happens I have evidence showing the talent mentioned in that letter. Do I? Which one do I present? Do I present this? No. Do I present this one? I don't know which one to present. Is it that one or is it a hidden painting? Found that notable. No. Okay. This one then? I can't help but wonder what the court is supposed to conclude. Oh, no, it's wrong. Okay. Shush. Okay. What's the evidence that would indicate the forgery? This? Oh, okay. Oh my god. This painting was found in Mr. Misham's studio. There are two problems with this painting. The first is that it wasn't painted by Mr. Misham. The second is that there was another painting in the studio. Honestly, they should have let, if I presented his version of the painting, that should have still counted as the answer, honestly. Because how are you supposed to discern, how are you supposed to know the answer if it's one or the other, if they're both like the same concept, right? The idea is that Drew had a painting that looked just like this hidden painting that he found. Whatever, never mind, forget it, fuck it. Which is exactly like this one, except it was only half done, and he fucking references it. Then when we have a letter discussing a payment of $100,000, which suggests a certain business operation. The business of making forgeries. Wow! He's a pretty gross looking guy, but he's still a good guy. If that makes sense. And that's all, Your Honor. Yeah, everyone, please, everyone. Can't we keep this private, please? This is my story, my scoop. Forgery, that's a serious crime. Drew Misham is known as an artist these days. But there were rumors he dabbled in another kind of art until a few years back. Another art meaning forgery? Drew Misham was talented, alright. talented at making precise, detailed fakes. A fact that certain criminal elements were quick to discover. Criminal elements? Wait, you can't seriously be talking about... Exactly. I'm talking about forging evidence. The rumors started circulating 7 years ago.
So, 7 years ago? So, are we to understand that this letter, this payment of $100,000 was for...
Exactly. Forged evidence needs net tidy profit. End quote.
Oh my god. Order! 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 Why, it's like our victim was living a double life.
Ha! This is my chance. So the victim had ties to the criminal world, right? He could have had plenty of enemies we know nothing about.
Objection!
This is my first time hearing of this criminal world. We certainly found no criminal connections when we conducted our investigations.
Objection!
But how do you explain all this money? You have to admit there's a possibility of some illegal activity here.
Objection!
But there is no proof tying this letter to our case. Our case was and remains simple from the beginning. Only the defendant could have poisoned that mug that night. And you, of course. Hey! The only thing I poison is my pen when I'm writing reviews.
Mr. Brushel, your testimony to this point has been quite unreliable. It doesn't speak well of your reporting acumen.
What are you talking about? My journalism is rock solid. Journalism is so solid you can stand an elephant on it. End quote.
In any case, let's hear a summarized recap of our testimony, of your testimony even. If we can ascertain the situation in that studio from the recap, the trial is over.
Apollo, what's he talking about? The cross-examination showed Mr. Brushel didn't have a reason of means to poison him. As long as there's no other suspects. Then the killer had to be Vera. That's what. This next testimony is our last chance.
Mr. Brushel, your testimony, please.
Oh, recap, baby! The only other person in the studio that night was the defendant. It was Vera who poured the coffee. She admitted that as much herself. The only thing that touched Drew's lips during the interview was that mug. And nothing left of that studio after he died. Nothing. It's clearly the only one who could have poisoned him was his daughter.
A nice testimony. Clear, succinct, and without room for doubt.
Ah, shucks. You really think so?
I believe this clarifies the situation that night. Very well, Mr. Justice, you may begin your final cross-examination.
Right. I still have one trump card left to play. And I won't let this trial end until I use it.
Okay.
I should be okay, but I'm just gonna go ahead and save just in case. Because why not? You can never save too much. Okay. Now, I wonder... Well, I wonder if... Let me take a crack at this. Let me see if...
Objection!
Oh shit! Hell yeah! I fucking got it first try. There were several possibilities to this, and I wasn't sure how to go about getting to this point. Get to the answer, like get to the point of it, but I got it. This is the only link between that studio and the outside world.
A letterbox?
What did Mr. Brushel just tell us? When he entered the studio on the night of the murder, the victim had just finished writing a letter. Yeah, I said that. And yeah, it was true. Furthermore, you went on to tell us that he put the letter in a yellow envelope and put it in the letterbox.
Oh!
But that very same letterbox was empty. In other words, that night, the yellow envelope disappeared.
Objection!
Ah, yes, intriguing. So an envelope has disappeared from the scene of the crime. Of course, this changes nothing. Uh-huh?
He has a point, Mr. Justice. What we're trying to figure out here is how the poison got into Mr. Misham. It isn't really important that the envelope the witness says he saw disappeared.
Well, if it did disappear, then something did leave the studio that night. That seems very important to me.
Very well then, the witness will add this to his testimony.
You got it. I still think this fails to change anything else forehead. I wouldn't be so sure, you fuck. A letter disappeared from the crime scene that night. This is exactly the opening I've been looking for. A letter was put in the post from the studio, but I hardly think that matters. Now, I wonder if I'm supposed to... Do I press it? Nothing could be more serious than an envelope disappearing from that studio. And you were hiding that fact from us. Yes, well, actually. I don't argue the possibility that a letter disappeared from that studio. But El Forehead, isn't there a much more serious question before us? Right, how Mr. Misham was poisoned, I know. But Mr. Brushell's testimony has changed, which means the fact of the case have too. And what he's told us means something entirely different now, I'm starting to think. Let's keep thinking, Apollo. Okay.
Sorry. I'm not yawning because I'm bored. I'm yawning because I yawn a lot.
Damn, that didn't work. Fuck.
Shit. Shh. It's fine. It's chill. It's cool. Okay, so... I wonder what I should do here.
But I hardly think that matters. I'm wondering how I should go about doing this. What do I... I can check it apparently?
Why do I need to check this? That's cute. It's a cute letterbox. Why do I need to check it?
No? Okay, what am I doing here? I wonder. How do I get to... Like, I know what they're trying to allude to. I'm just trying to figure out how I get to this. A letter was put in the post office, but I hardly think that matters. The only thing that touched the Jew during the letter was that no, this is the one that I... No, what? What do I do? You sure about that? Well, to be really precise, I was busy gobbling mint candies the whole time. One of those candies might have been poisoned! And yet, at the time of the autopsy, no fresh fragrance of mint filled the room. And no mint residue was found. It was a long shot anyway. Don't tell me you're still trying to prove this. You think that the victim ate, drank, or otherwise ingested something other than coffee?
Well, Mr. Justice, if you have some proof.
The possibility is there. I can feel it. Just maybe not prove it. Not yet. Impossibility isn't going to cut it. Not now. Mr. Misham ingested that poison via a route other than coffee. Maybe. Proof is possible. Here goes nothing. I know the answer. I just don't know how to go about, like... I don't know how it would show it. I can explain it via me. I don't know if Apollo can explain it via him. You do understand what we need, Ja. Proof, El Forehead. Not possibilities. Of course. And Prosecutor Gavin, I hope you understand. I'm ready to give you that proof. What did you say? I have proof of the disappearing envelope. I saw him write a letter. I saw him writing a letter. I did.
Which was picked up by the mailman, I assume.
The mailman did it. Of course, which means that envelope had a stamp on it.
Okay, they say the answer, I guess.
As we all know, stamps come with dried glue on the back. In order to use the glue, you'd have to wet it by licking the stamp.
No one worth talking to actually licks stamp in this day and age.
Even if you wanted to talk to him, you couldn't. He's dead after all.
Don't smile about that, Apollo.
Okay, so he licked the stamp, but wait. How does that explain the atrocinine on the rim of the coffee cup? If he licked the back of a poisoned stamp, the poison would get on his tongue, yes? What would then happen if he put the coffee mug to his mouth,
Do you? Hang on, I'm trying to think now. How would you... Okay, well, I think based on what I was able to do with my cup of water, it's not really a cup, it's one of those Starbucks cups with a straw. But I don't know if I would put my tongue on the cup. I would put my lips on the cup. I'm trying to envision it. I can't envision it right now unless I have a cup with me. Oh well, whatever. People drink differently.
Those traces on the mug weren't the killer's doing. It was the other way around.
What?
The coffee mug didn't poison Mr. Misham. Mr. Misham poisoned the coffee mug himself. And now the coffee mug is dead.
Order! 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 But that doesn't... Does it?
Recall, if you would. Atroquinine is a slow-acting poison, yes? The poison entered his body when he put the stamp on the envelope. But his time wasn't up until the very moment he touched his lips to that cup of joe.
I'm gonna drink my water in the meantime. I hope there's no atroquinine in my water.